motion to declare an open meeting.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. There's a copy of the Open Meetings Act that's posted in the back of the room. So we're supposed to vote on it, aren't we? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Open Meetings Act posted in the back of the room. Roll call, Chance?
Yep.
Mike?
Here.
Myself here. Deb?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yep.
Number 6, approve the agenda.
No adjustments.
No adjustments. Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
Second?
Second.
Yep, second. Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. And then we'll move on to the consent agenda, starting with the minutes from last month. Didn't see anything, you amend, you didn't have anybody else catch anything? Okay. We'll move on into the financials.
Get another big check next month.
I hope several big checks this
Better.
month, yes, because we paid for our computers this month, so between computers and sped, you were looking at probably a little over 90 grand. Just in.
What are the different classes? Fund balance, what's that? Generation by the problem. Gotcha.
Any other questions on the financials or anything? Moved into the claims. Like Kelly said, a lot, big one of the computers, special ed. Computers approved last month.
We'll get, $400 per device reimbursement. So we'll have some money coming back from technology.
That's still kind of a COVID thing too, isn't it?
Yeah, they still have money to spend. So, they just want to make sure that every kid in the country has access to virtual learning opportunities for the next pandemic.
Any other questions on the claims or anything? If not, we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda then.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
Chance, second. Move the second consent agenda, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. We'll move on to number 8, we have a student presentation today. Ms. Jacobson and Shayla.
Everybody? Is this part? Right here? Okay. I'm just going to introduce Shayla. Would you say more? Okay. We're good here? Okay. This is Shayla Jacobson. We just got back from state FCCLA where she just qualified for nationals, which we haven't had happen. Well, we have had it happen. This is, I guess, your third time qualifying. So we're pretty excited about this venture, but we get to go to Denver, Colorado, July 1st through the 6th is where this one will take us to. So this is pretty exciting for us to do this, have this opportunity. So she wants to explain to you a little bit about how this works and how she worked her way to the national competition. This event is a little bit different than the one she has qualified for the past. The past one was repurpose and redesign, and this one is job interview. So I'll let you talk about, first of all, what a STAR project actually is, and she's wearing the attire that she has to wear when she goes to compete. And when you go to national competition, they're required to wear the black skirt, and the red jacket the entire time that they are there. And just like with the FFAs, the blue jacket, well, they have their red jackets. When they go to state competition, the red jacket is optional unless they're competing. Otherwise, you have to wear the red polo. But at nationals, you are required to wear the red jacket. So, if you wanna talk about what a STAR competition is and what that is comprised of?
Okay, so STAR stands for Students Taking Action with Recognition, and you can compete at the district, state, and national level with a team or as an individual person. There are 30
different events.
30 events that you can compete in or more, and they all concern family, careers, and communities, or all of them. You research a topic, develop it, and implement a project with it, and then advance for a positive change.
Okay, so your event was the job interview one, which was, like I said, different than the one that she did before, which was a repurpose and redesign project where you took an old item, like she'd taken apart like shutters and made what was that before? A nightstand, and took apart an old chair and made it into a shelf and those types of things. This time, job interview, she's going to explain what that encompassed, and so I'll let you talk about that.
So in job interview, I had to create this portfolio.
I'm gonna take your stickies, and then you can show them your portfolio that you had to do, that you worked on for your first semester.
I had to create a table of contents, and then my planning process summary page, then my online
Submission form.
and then I had to do job specifications. So I had to create like a fake, how do you describe it?
Basically a fake job that you're technically qualified for now. So you can't pretend that you're going to be a lawyer, or that you're going to be a nurse, or anything else that you're not qualified for. It has to be a job that you're qualified for right now.
And then you just write up some stuff that you're gonna like apply for, and like the money and the hours. And then this is my employment applications, and then my workplace experiences. This is my,
That's called a cover letter. You actually have to write the cover letter.
and then this is my letter of recommendation from outside the school, and this is mine from inside the school. So you have to have multiple of those. And then my career-related educations are my summary of school activities.
So there's a lot of essay writing that went on to write the portfolio.
And then there's career research projects, application of family and consumer sciences and or other related occupational teams. And then example of communicate in a written form.
Which was very nice of Mrs. Bolzo to assign lots of essays for them to choose from.
And then this is my educational enhancement opportunities for career development planning.
So she was able to write about all the times that Mr. Klein, or no, well, I think you bypassed the Mr. Klein era, but Mr. Peter, when they went on your sophomore trips, and trying to think of all the other trips you went on for career exploration, as 7th grade, 8th grade, freshman year, sophomore years. So they'd be able to write about those.
And this is my community service projects and my practicum experience, my job shadows and interviews, my summary of early childhood and job interviews. And then I had to interview a lot of different teachers at the school, so I interviewed Miss Arnold, Miss Hoffman, Haley Dow, and Paige Getzinger to find out different careers and if I was interested in going into them. And then my special skills, I had to have my driver's license and then my CPR certification card on here. My levels of organization with my school planner and my home planner. And then I can prepare meals, so I had to put that in there with breakfast and lunch. And then activity planning, I had to come out with create activities and put in here and describe them. And then I had to show that I was interacting with kids, so then here's photos from daycare and then other activities.
So then she would walk in and give this book pull the portfolio to the judges would have 20 minutes to read through and evaluate the portfolio and determine what kind of job that she was actually applying for. And they would come up with questions based upon that job specification sheet that she had filled out. They would come up with specific questions for her based on she was going to be a child care provider for the summer, watching 3 kids, taking it back and forth to their swimming lessons and summer school. I believe that was right. And so the judges then, there's a panel of 3 judges, both at districts and at state, that would then ask her specific questions relating to that job, just like if they were the mom or the dad of those kids that she would be working for. And so they would ask her scenario types questions, anything that, if you were the parent, that you would want to know after reading through her book. So they would ask her questions. They had up to 15 minutes to ask her questions about that. So she would have to go in, shake their hand, do just a nice formal job interview with that. So that was pretty much her event. And then when it came down to the criteria, there was like a 3-page evaluation form that the judges filled out. At district, it's a handwritten form that they complete, and then at state, it's computerized there. So then they filled that out, and then we found out at state on a Tuesday afternoon, morning, that she was received first place and was qualified for nationals. So guess we're off to Denver.
Congratulations.
Do you have any questions for her?
Did you get the job?
I hope so. I hope so.
Congratulations, Jen, that's very impressive. Good luck.
So is everything in there real, like all your essays, or did you have to make some of them up, because you hadn't done them?
They're real.
They're all stuff that, you've done all that stuff. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they could ask her questions about anything that was in that book, anything about the interviews that she did, like with Mrs. Arlt, that she had done on her career shadow, that the hours she spent with her, or any other teacher that she did spent time with, any of her time that she talked about her time during her practicum at daycare. So anything that she put in there, they could ask her questions about beyond just the typical interview questions, to make sure that she actually wrote all that information.
So how many kids will be in your category at state or national?
We have no idea. Every state can send 2 people, so technically, a lot. We just don't know until we get there how many people will be there. So.
Now, will you take that right there, or do you have to add to it for nationals?
It's just this.
Or are you ready to go?
It's just that, and it's supposed to be ready to go. We can add more to it, and if we want, and take any comments from the states to change anything. But most of the comments that they made at state, I don't think we can change, because they were contradictory from one judge to the next. So I think we'll probably just leave it as is at this point. And we can't really add anything in terms of page-wise, because 35 pages is max, and we hit 34. So I think we're good. But you can always improve on interview skills, so it wouldn't hurt for her to have a few more interview practice sessions. So I think that's good.
Nice job.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing. Put a lot of
Is this
time
the
into
first
it.
time, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is this the first time Plainview sent someone to nationals?
No, in fact, we've sent more. I've sent one other person. I don't know if you remember Carissa Pollock as a student. She went in this event. She went to San Diego, California. She traveled with her mom that year. I wasn't able to attend, but her mom went, and she traveled as an independent delegate, and Neely sponsored her. So she traveled and went to San Diego that year, and she did very well. I remember her score was a 98%, and so she didn't get first. I don't know who got first, but I know she had a 98% because she got to go to a governor's commission and got recognized by the governor that year. And we sent a couple other kids to nationals before. A couple went to San Antonio. We've had 2 other kids go to Nashville. So it's been pretty fun. The kids work pretty hard. We've had some other kids qualify, and they declined. They said they wanted to save their money for college instead of go. But the seniors, but yeah, it's been fun.
That's awesome. Keep up the great work, ladies.
Yes, thank you.
Yep, congratulations, good luck at Nationals. Thanks for sharing.
We will let you know how things turn out. Okay.
Good job, ladies. Sorry, I took over.
Okay, we're on to number 9, public comment. Yeah, anybody that wants to speak tonight?
Boys wanna talk?
Okay, I know the seniors back there want to.
I'll talk to Mr. Schumacher about including that in this experience, that they all have to address the board during public comment. A little more authentic of an experience for civic responsibility. We'll start that next year. Yeah, yeah.
This is the only time they don't talk, though.
Yeah.
All right, last chance tonight. All right, we don't have anybody speaking, we'll move on then to number 10. We've got quite a few committee meetings over the last month, so we're gonna start out with the policy committee that met. Mike, Deb, and Wyatt, you guys wanna tell us what you talked about at policy meeting?
I was absent.
So you gotta lead this.
This is primarily, I needed to have a conversation with the board about policy 100601, which is your action item number 12, so that the board could make a recommendation for a language change with regard to community use of school facilities.
We had a meeting, actually, Gail was at the meeting also, so we had a conversation with him. We basically talked about, you know, who we have use the school, and most of them are nonprofit. There might be one during the year that is paid for profit. But, we talked to him about how much time he spends getting ready to tear it down, cleaning up, and most of them isn't very much, it's mostly just getting the gym ready, the tartan, laying the floor down, maybe setting up chairs. Sometimes some of them do their own, but a lot of them do it all, they clean up after themselves and everything, he doesn't have to hardly do too much. And he was really good about it, he said, you know, if it's nonprofit, he's not gonna worry about charging him for anything. We discussed about the groups meeting with him and coming up with, you know, what he needs to do. And if there's a lot, they would pay him directly. It wouldn't necessarily go through the school, they would just line it up with him. And if he felt it was a for-profit and there's a lot of work for him, he would charge him X amount of dollars that he kind of came up with. And, but again, he said, you know, I'm not gonna charge nonprofit people, and let's do this part for the community too, so that's kind of what we're recommending to add to the policy, that it's a negotiation between the event and Gail to come up with if there's gonna be a fee or anything.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
We did have like a set fee, looks like.
In the old policy,
The
we
old
did.
policy.
But does the new
Yeah.
one have a set fee?
There was, and you have that language in your packet, you know, where you can see it's shaded and stricken. So, yeah, obviously there's utility use and some consumable use, which would be paper goods, and such, but some organizations, you know, clean up perfectly after themselves to a great degree, but there's always some district responsibility with regard to setup and cleanup, and so, the committee thought it was okay for them to essentially just contract with Gail, you know, privately, and, you know, if he's gotta spend a Sunday night or a weekend, an hour or two or whatever to prep for a Monday morning school, that maybe there should be some burden of expense to that organization. Otherwise, as a school district, you know, we're a community center and happy to provide those opportunities for primarily kids. So the language recommendation of the policy committee is in your packet.
And we'll get to that down in the action items, so you guys all see that in your packet there. Okay. The safety committee also met. That was Mike, Deb, and myself. You wanna take that? Or I'll help you out there.
Okay, you brought your.
I have some
good.
notes too.
Good, good. We met, and Christie met with us also. We talked about, what to do if we have an intruder. They do practice this once a year for that part, for the kids know what to do. Teachers have a plan. It's called I Love You Plan.
I love you guys.
I Love You Guys plan. So, and they all have that in place. Christy knows what it is. We also talked about if we need to evacuate, what are some things that went well and what maybe we could change a little bit. What else am I missing?
Yeah, it was just mainly this language here, but it's kind of a process they follow. You guys can see that. There's a drill that goes with each one of these. They try to do one a month, and tornado drills, evacuation we did last year. Might be doing that again.
Lockdown,
Lockdown.
shelter.
Did we miss anything else?
We talked to just about having numbers on the windows and doors inside and out, so if they, report something in a room, the authorities would know, would have a copy of that, know where to go. And, Christy had also asked if she could be present for some of these drills, just so she could get familiar with what we do and how we do it, and where they go and how they get there. So if it happens, she kind of has an idea what's going on too, and so that's a good thing. So she's very accommodating and wanted to be a part of this, which is great. So I appreciate her interest in being around the school and her kids and all that, so.
And just to keep the coordination between the school and the police department, it's good to have, so.
We talked about a few things that we don't wanna publicize, maybe sometimes that we do, and why, and I'm not gonna say what they are right now, or we're just publicizing it, but, it kinda goes both ways, things that we learned that she brought to us, and things that we had that we brought to her, so I think both sides learned from it.
Got any questions on that? Yeah, we thank Chief for being at the meeting.
Thank you.
Sharing those thoughts with us too. And we also had a teaching and learning committee. We get together. There we mainly talked about.
Hiring another teacher.
You want to explain, Chance?
No, you got
All
it.
right. Ms. Hodson showed us the enrollment numbers, that's coming from the elementary side. We're trending on the high side, and they keep going up, so, the thought was, I think Mrs. Goods was gonna have, what did she- 30 possibly in her class next year.
With there was maybe possibly 3 or 4 more gonna come too, wasn't that something?
That includes, so she has 28, there'll be 28 right now. We have 28 first graders. We have 2 already enrolled with the potential of another one coming. So we're looking at 31.
Which gets to be a lot for one teacher.
Especially at second grade.
Yeah, second graders for sure. So we need to maybe have that conversation here a little later. Last month, we set on 33 FTEs. We might need to add one more if the board decides that's what we want to do. But we kind of thought, and I guess the committee would recommend that we go ahead and do that. We can do what's best for the kids and learning, so.
And we want to make that decision as soon as we can,
Right.
so that we can
Can find somebody.
find somebody that will be a quality teacher. We don't want 31 second graders in one room.
How many are in there this year? That's pretty
A
full
lot.
class too, isn't it?
26, is it?
I can tell you,
It's
24.
24.
But we are squished for room at 24.
Mhm.
So is that teacher, would they move with them every year then, from here on out, or do you kind of move them all around?
It kind of depends on numbers. And my wish is that we could have 2 teachers, K2, from here on out.
Or every one of them?
Correct.
But you still can't put them together next year, all with one teacher, can you? Or can you do that? As we get
Well,
older, it's easier?
Yeah, it just kinda depends on the needs, but there's still so much, primary learning that happens, K-2, with reading and math and things like that, that I would really like to spread them out as much as we can for that purpose, but our numbers are averaging 25 plus for every grade next year.
It's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we also talked about, we had Mr. Peter, Mr. Schmidt in there, we talked about how they come up with making the high school schedule, all the things that go into that, which is an interesting process.
How hard it is for them to change one thing, cause it's a chain reaction. Some screws and everything, basically.
He's got some software that helps him do that, but he's gotta figure out how many kids are interested in this, and try to make that fit.
And this is impossible to keep everybody happy, basically. There's always one kid or one teacher that doesn't get what they wanted, I guess.
So you're not just talking the calendar, you're talking the class.
We're talking like,
Schedules.
yeah, what they get for each period of the day, or whatever. Their electives, and the whole class. Basically boils down to electives. They don't all get what they want for electives.
Yeah, there's quite a bit that goes into it, and it's trying to keep everyone happy, but you can't do that. Sometimes you have one kid, you know, that it doesn't work for, and you gotta kinda sacrifice that, make it work for the rest of it. But, yeah, it was interesting to see how it all kinda comes together. He gave us a sample schedule, kinda see how it all goes. Just want us to be aware how they do set that. They did move band, I think, to 8th period this year was kind of a big change. Just personnel issues that they have to work around with. And the schedule's finalized in July, by July, they're gonna have it scheduled. We miss anything, Mr. Schmidt?
That's about it.
And then finally, we had budget committee, meet a couple times. Discussed a number of things there. Kind of the first thing was, you know, the teacher. If we're gonna hire another teacher, that's gonna affect, obviously, what we thought we were gonna have for next year. You're looking at probably roughly 75,000 by the time you figure salary and benefits and all that, you know, into another teacher.
That's about 1.5 cents on the levy, just for that, so.
We also talked about, you know, maybe looking at some of these sports coming up here. We've got bowling, we've got cross country, and then girls wrestling. Trying to decide, we've got low numbers in all three of those, but which ones we wanna take a look at a little. We're gonna be looking at in a couple of months as to how many is enough to justify having a coach and paying the fees, you know, all that. Kinda we're looking also at what's coming up in the next few years, you know, if there's interest down the road, maybe it makes sense to stay with some of these other programs, maybe if there's not interest coming up. That's a conversation we're gonna have to have.
Right now, you got, what, 2 wrestlers, 2 girl wrestlers, 3 bowlers, and 0 to 2 cross country, possibly.
Yeah, 1 to 2 for cross country.
And we figured if we had to hire a head coach, or pay a head coach for all 3 of those, it's gonna be $7,000 to $10,000 for each position. By the time you figure entry fees and travel and all that, so that'd be about another $25,000 to have those 3 head coaches and enter in events, school expense.
Mr. Schmidt's looking into, you know, co-oping with some other schools if there's interest, so we'll know more about that coming up.
We've got a little time yet. We don't have to decide this tonight.
We probably need to decide some of that stuff sooner than later, though, so that some of the kids can transfer out if they want to. You know, like the girls wrestling might wanna go to
Oh, if we
theirs.
don't have it,
Yeah,
we
if we're
need
not
to
gonna
go
offer
somewhere
it.
else.
Well, I think that's one that, we won't get too deep in the discussion anyway, but that's one I think we kind of want to make sure that we're accommodating anyway for,
Is the girls wrestling.
girls wrestling. Have it.
Cross country, either way, anybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
if there's
yeah,
one kid that
I
wants to
don't
do
want
it.
it to get advertised that we're max anyway, you know, that's not what that committee was to be that, or was it? I mean, we're sitting there, we're looking to sit here and start trimming stuff as much as can, we're trying to be as accommodating as possible anyway, for budget and for our kids. So, we'll make sure the opportunities are there if possible, so.
Mr. Schmidt's still talking with Osmond and Green too, which both of those are talking to somebody else tonight, so I don't know what they do, whether we have an option to go with them on something, so we'll know more next meeting.
And then I guess on the budget side, we need to make an amendment to our activities budget, because we've kind of been, in our audit, pointed out, you know, that sometimes we're not quite meeting what we budgeted. And so Dr. All's been keeping track of that closer. Can see that activities is gonna be over just a bit more than what we thought it was going to be. So he's also got categories in the general fund that are way less than what we budgeted for. So basically, we are probably gonna need to come together next month, having a budget meeting, or a budget hearing, and move, the proposal is, he's $150,000 under in operation and maintenance part of the budget. So he's proposing moving 25,000 from that into activities to cover that. So we're actually, you know, budgeting, or we're spending what we're budgeting. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's quite common. But we were guilty the last two budget cycles at not amending our budget because we didn't increase the transfer. So it's common for schools to change their transfer amounts in the middle of a budget cycle. They may or may not amend their budget. We haven't the past 2 years, and so our audit indicated that. So we'll have a simple hearing, meet with budget committee before regular meeting in May. We'll have a simple budget hearing just before, a public hearing just before our May meeting to specify where in the general fund, likely operation and maintenance, which is $150,000 under budget right now, using some of that to transfer, to increase the transfer activity. So it keeps activities in the black, because if it goes into red, you know, then we get an audit ding. So, simple process, something we should have done. I should have led you through each of the last two budget cycles.
Well, you know, I'm glad you keep track of it closer this time. That's-
You told me to.
That's good. Always keep it up as it is working.
We were told to.
Yeah.
So did I miss anything, guys, on the budget?
I think that's good.
Okay, we'll move on then to number 11, board development, page 11, 14. Hopefully everybody got a chance to kind of browse through that. Got any top takeaways or things that caught your eye? Share them.
Well, the second bullet on page 12 definitely applies to, you know, tonight. Rely on school policies that are continually updated. It's not incredibly sexy, but trying to make sure that you've got a legal and accurate and updated policy manual that you can reference when you need to. Nobody expects anybody to know exactly what's in there, and I understand that, but just to make sure that you're grounded in good policy in the off chance that an issue would arise, you're covered by updated policy.
Yeah, it's good we go through that, you know, review that every now and then, so we know what's in there.
How long have you guys done that? Mike, how long have you done review of policies as a board?
Review policies ever since I've been on.
Have you?
I mean, we haven't always done this. I think we've only done this maybe the last
Couple
two
This,
years.
yeah.
But yeah, we've always
Yeah.
reviewed policies.
I just know that, I've told you guys that when I've been at other board meetings that some of the board members don't even know where the policies are, let alone review them, so you guys as predecessors to me, I really appreciate you guys doing this. important stuff, so.
Well, to go to my old fashioned is carrying these books around, you look at them every meeting, you know, or when you're getting ready for your meeting. When it's online, you may be, to me, I'm more willing to slough it off and say, you know, you come to the meeting, I'm not gonna pull it up and look at stuff, you know, that's me.
Yeah, that's,
you know.
and that's me too, but at least we have them and we review them, and they're there for the community and patrons. So I think that's important.
I thought there were some pretty good points on page 14, just the positive board qualities, you know, all those collaborative board behaviors, just good things to strive for.
Well, kind of marked on page 13, it says, consider the needs of the entire community and vote for what's best for the students, which is always your priority, is what's best for the students, even if some of the community doesn't agree.
Okay, well, we'll continue to work through that book each month, just to review. Alright, we'll move on then to the action items.
Okay, you may have a photocopy hiccup in your packet, so, you know, you've got your, do you see number 17, is it on the top of the back of your first page? Okay, so I think we're missing a page, Cal. Do you have yours on the back of your first page of the agenda? Does it start with 17?
Ours is on the back, the first page.
Yeah, it is, first or 17. I don't have a page in the original either.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay,
Are we missing
so,
something?
yeah.
So that's all the changes on all the policies.
Yeah, it's just
Oh,
language.
it's
It's just a language.
It was, one of them was maybe out of order.
Yeah.
It might be like behind some.
You do have, okay. And I probably do too. Yeah, not bad. I had them out of order, Cal.
You do have what?
I had them out of order, but they haven't.
They do
Sorry.
have, okay.
It's on the back of the second page, so they're just out of order, sorry.
So, yeah, we got a lot of.
Sure.
policies.
Oh, yeah, they certainly are.
Yeah, yeah, they just, yeah, they were just photocopied out of order. So, we're good.
Okay.
You just have to kind of flip and find it. If you're looking for the motion language, which you are, for items 12 through 16. So, action item 12 is on the back of your second page.
Okay, yeah, number 12 is dealing with that community use of school facilities, so we talked about earlier in the committee report. That's the one you got in your packet.
Mhm.
The language is struck out, the new recommended language in there is what the committee recommended we change it to.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of policy 1006.01, community use of school facilities.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, we have a second on that. What's the second? All right, let's move and second to accept first reading policy 100601. Chance?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried, 6-0. Move on then to number 13, that was our new policy 20503. This was the one about naloxone, Narcan.
I didn't put that copy in your packet again this month, because you have a copy of it in last month's packet.
No changes.
Nope, nope, so this will go into effect with your second reading tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of policy number 508.18, administration of naloxone. Can I say that, naloxone? I'm just gonna call it Narcan.
Narcan. Yep.
Okay, moving second to accept second reading policy 50818. Melissa? Wyatt?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mike?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried 6-0. Now we'll move on to 14.
So when I asked our policy subscriber to provide me new language of these sped policies in 612, he said, I'm gonna send you 612, 18, and 19, because they're new and they were not in our policy manual. So they need to be included, so they need 2 readings.
What's third these are, what the surrogate?
We
Nothing.
have to update our sped policies annually. Michelle Blair Sauser
Okay.
and I work together to update those. The Department of Ed, they just, of all your
So this-
policies, they're all the same important, but some are more important than others. Your sped policies are, you really wanna pay close attention to, because most of the litigation that happens to school districts is a result of not following sped policy. So that one you kind of keep in your sweet spot, your bullseye. We were notified that we didn't have a surrogate policy, which was accurate. So when I asked NASB for updated language of sped policy, he said, yes, I'm aware that you're gonna need one on surrogates, and oh, by the way, here's another one, that would be your next action item, 61219.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of policy number 612.18, appointment of surrogates.
Okay, we got a motion, we got a second?
I'll second.
Mike, second. Move to second to approve first reading policy 61218. I'll start with myself, yes. Deb?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes, can we talk about this a little bit more? I'm not sure I understand it.
So if a student has a surrogate representative, so whether they're their parents, they don't have their legal guardian is different than maybe their biological or adopted parents. So if somebody has to be a surrogate for their educational rights, to advocate for a child.
Is there anything like that here? Is there anyone that needs this policy?
I don't think so right
No.
now,
But this is like a
Just-
state deal, we
just
have
in-
to have.
Yeah, this is one, but just in case, we're covered by policy, if we do have a student requiring sped services who has a surrogate, parent representative or legal representative.
It's just protecting the student.
Yeah, that's my fault, sorry, Melissa, I should have called for discussion first between some of these. But anyways, we're to you, are you?
Yep, I'm good.
Chance?
Yep.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried 6-0. Okay, then we'll go to number 15, discuss the cost of action, first reading policy 61219, consent for early intervention services. That goes right along with 18, is that right, Dr. Earl?
Yeah, so and this happens from time to time where the school district is trying to get consent from the parents to either provide, assessments or SAT process to determine if a child has a learning disability. And if we have to have their consent, and if for whatever purpose we might not be able to get it through, if their legal guardian is available or what have you, what process we can still follow to serve that child without consent. Sadly, occasionally we can run into that. We know of a child who needs special services, but their parents are a mess. And, do we have other avenues to go to support that child? Even though their parents are not cooperating or can't cooperate, whatever the circumstances might be. We still have an avenue.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of policy number 612.19, consent for early intervention services.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion on that one? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. Mike?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Deb?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried 6. All right, now 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, all these are revisions, is that correct?
Yeah, they all fall under policy 20503. Language in your policy there states, if a policy is revised because of a legal change over which the board has no control, or a change which is minor, the policy may be approved in one meeting at the discretion of the board. So I recommend you go ahead and use that discretion and just pass it in one reading. All of these, there's minor language change due to just a statutory jargon. So they all have to do a sped. It doesn't change, practice in anything that we do to my knowledge, but you have a copy of these, obviously in your file, and you have a new copy in this month's board packet, so, you can certainly take one at a time, but you can also pass all of those in one motion.
And what number were those?
61213 to 61217.
16 to 20 on the agenda.
In several of them, they simply struck the language approved cooperative. A school district or approved cooperative is listed in most of these policies. They simply struck approved cooperative.
Yeah, I looked at them earlier, it's all pretty minor stuff, copy. Yeah, we kinda thought we'd just approve all those 5 at once rather than go through each one. Which one is that?
14, suspension and expulsion rates.
14. So we can go ahead and discuss that.
So the only change to this is the middle paragraph. So the district will, and this is new language, the district will implement positive behavior intervention strategies to promote appropriate behaviors and improve school climate. Change of placement decisions related to disciplinary removals will be consistent with federal and state regulations. The district will develop procedures to ensure disciplinary procedural safeguards and decision-making follows such regulation. So there's always a concern of SPED students, special ed students, especially if they are identified as ED or emotionally disturbed. The label used to be BD, behavior disorder, so those students could be identified a little more quickly as candidates for suspension or expulsion, due to behaviors. So if you get to such a circumstance where maybe there's going to be a consequence or a sanction for a student who is emotionally disturbed, you have to do a manifestation determination. Was the behavior manifested in their disability? And if so, you're prohibited from certain levels of sanctions because it's essentially determined that their behavior was a result of their disability and not within their control. So there's just a little stronger language with regard to suspensions and expulsions when it comes to students with special needs.
So the whole policy is all to do with special needs students. Like,
It
this
is.
isn't like shouldn't say normal, but the normal kid is like,
Sure.
he gets in trouble, he has a whole different policy I have to follow, right, for that one?
Yes, a student with special needs, you just.
Has
there's
his own policy.
There's another layer of support, or filtering of, or considerations for, consequences due to behaviors. Especially if they're identified as emotionally disturbed.
I would like to discuss that next month, put that on the agenda. What, just certain punishments, review the bullying policy, cyber safety. things
Mr.
along
Schmidt
those
and Mrs. Hodson can talk about the positive behavior intervention strategies to promote appropriate behaviors and improve school climate. So with regard to the new language of this policy, they
So I'm not
can
talking
talk
about,
about some of those specific things.
Just for special needs students, I'm talking about for the rest of the student body.
Is that under the handbook review when we typically look at that?
Yeah, I mean.
And when is that?
This summer. I mean, that happens, you know, handbook
School
are
starts.
updated June or July.
I think there's so much to discuss that we should probably talk about it well in advance before school starts.
Well, I think that's probably the time to do it, when we just, when we review the handbook.
Probably have a committee meet before that, with Mr. Schmidt and Mrs. Hodson, prior to bringing the full handbook to the board. It would probably be a good opportunity to have an initial committee discussion about it.
But yeah, these all pertain to special ed section. So I guess if is there any other discussion on any of those other items? If not, probably just, we'll take a motion then to approve 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17.
I'll make a motion to approve the revisions to policy number 61213, 61214, 61215, 61216, and 61217. I think it goes to 17.
Yeah.
As stated.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? Not, then we're gonna move to seconded to approve 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Mike?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, approve all those at once. Now we'll move on then to number 21. Discuss and take possible action on adding an additional elementary teacher to increase the total FTE for the next year to 34. That's what we had approved last month? Last month at 30. And then kind of saw our enrollment changing as we talked about before, might necessitate the need of that additional teacher. Kind of had that discussion committee report.
So I just read out of here, you know, our job is to do what's best for the students. You know, this may cost taxpayers more money, but is it what's best for the students?
I don't think a lot of taxpayers are gonna get too concerned about us hiring another teacher to help the students as they would about putting lights up in the football field. So, you know.
That's our main job.
I'll make a motion to approve an increase of 1.0 to the total certified teacher FTE for the 2023-2024 school year.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll second.
Do you have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Find the spot here. Moved and seconded to increase 1.0 the total certified teacher FTEs for 2023-2024 school year. Go ahead. Any discussion? Go ahead and vote. Deb?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carries, so. Move then on to number 22, discuss and take possible action, approving a 1.0 FTE teaching contract.
In your folder, you have 2 resumes. One of them says Matthew Chambers. Mrs. Hodson, you would like to recommend you approving a contract, a 1.0 level FTE teaching contract for Matthew Chambers, who is in year 16 teaching, completing year 7, that same team.
Family or?
He does,
Will we
yep.
be moving here?
I asked that question as well. I don't know if it will happen right away, but it's something that him and his wife would have a conversation about.
Is this, to fill the position that we just made available?
No.
Okay.
Brandy and I interviewed 4 candidates last week, and we picked a top choice knowing that we definitely had that position to fill. We also picked a second one in case you approved hiring a new teacher. So we do have 2 candidates that we would look to offer the teaching positions to.
So the 2 that we're proposing to hire would be, we wouldn't have another opening?
Correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve a 1.0 FTE certified contract to Matthew W. Chambers for the 2023 to 2024 school year.
Okay. Melissa second. Moved and seconded into approval 1.0 FT certified contract to Matt Chambers for 2023-24 school year. Go ahead and vote. Melissa?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mike?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried 6-0. We'll move on to 23 then. Discuss take possible action approving a 1.0 FTE teaching contract to find in your packet.
You have another resume that Mrs. Hodson would recommend to you.
This one would be for second grade, most likely or lower.
Yeah.
Lower grades.
It would be for that particular position, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve a 1.0 FTE contract to Brittany White for next year.
I'm sorry, you said who? Brittany White?
Brittany White.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Second by Chance. Any further discussion? If not, motion is moved and seconded to approve 1.0 certified contract to Brittany White for 2023-24 school year. Go ahead and vote. Chance?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Deb?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
And motion carried 6-0. 24, discuss take possible action on resignation certified employee, nothing there.
Yeah,
That's our citing.
We had
Yeah.
one, we have one back.
You do, I'm sorry, I didn't have it numbered for you. Jess Sauser, fourth grade teacher. Life happens and, she's putting mama ahead of teacher.
Well, it goes back to the daycare thing. She's gonna stay home and watch kids so other teachers can keep teaching.
And so when we accept this resignation, we have one more.
No.
No,
No.
we're okay there.
We're fully staffed.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Jessica Sauser, effective the end of the 2022-2023 school year.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded and accept the resignation of Jessica Sauser for the 2023-24 school year. Myself, yes. Deb?
Sadly, yes. I
Wyatt?
understand.
Melissa? Chance?
Yes.
Mike?
Better.
Yeah, we hate to lose her, that's for sure.
Do.
Yeah, we have to
Totally understand,
why.
totally understand. Should be great there too.
Okay. Now, I must have missed that.
Just tell them I use the kids and we get back here. Yeah, never mind, do it.
You're retired, is it, aren't you?
Not if I gotta steal maybe some kids.
Okay, we'll move on then to, activity director's report for 25.
Plan was to bring you guys the updated sheet for extra duties, but a lot of that came on what happened tonight with adding another teacher and getting a couple of other teachers in that are both coaches to help fill a few positions. So, my plan is to have a bunch of this done at the end of this week and bring you one next month because we are fully staffed now, so that should be all taken care of by the May meeting. Working on summer calendar for students, cause we'll print one off and give to everybody. A lot of the coaches use Sports U too, so we're trying to put everything on that, so kids have it on their app and on their phone too, so they can see all of it. I did have Jeff from Pro Track and Tennis come out and walk our track. There is a crack on the back stretch. It ripped through the polyurethane because the base cracked. And so there's two options to fix it. If we seal the top of it, it'll seal it so weathering can't get in there, but it's going to split again at some point just because the asphalt split. So what he proposed doing was going in, cutting out that chunk, filling the base part, putting down new polyurethane and then covering over top of it. So you'll see a 6-inch mark where he cut it out, but then it fixes it so the crack won't happen. In theory, I'm not gonna say it is, but wait for a quote back from him to get that fixed, so that way we can keep that intact for as long as we can.
Is there any kind of warranty on that track from, because we just put that in, wasn't it, a year ago?
Yeah, it's not the track that they did that's the problem, it's what's
Yeah.
underneath it.
Yeah,
first started tearing up too, so.
So will you think they'll even go underneath the base and look at
They're
the
gonna
dirt
cut-
under it and see if it
No.
needs something there?
They won't be able to go down that far, so. So I'll let you know what I hear back from him on that. And then district music's here at the end of the month, we have conference track at the end of the month. And then there's some dates of everything that's going on through the rest of the year. And that's about it.
Conference track is here, is it?
We are at Ponca this year for conference track. No, we only have our junior high meet on, we have our athletic banquet on the 8th, board meeting that night. Junior high track on the 9th, May 10th is district track. So we host 2 days in a row, so.
Okay, so when we talk about our principals report, the one thing that I wanted to point your attention to is this Pirate Branch, number 1. Jamie Norris with Midwest Bank reached out to me a couple months ago about a program that is designed to work together with them, with our elementary students, to teach financial literacy. And her, Kevin Lingenfelter, and Corby Forbes and myself went to visit Wayne Elementary School to see this program in action. And I just want to kind of show you this 3-minute video. What you see in this video is what we went and witnessed. This video was made 4 years ago, so there's a few things that have changed, but with the approval of your support and with the approval of Midwest Board, this is something that we would like to start in the fall.
This is the first in-school savings program in Northeast Nebraska. Today we have the grand opening of the Blue Devil branch of State Nebraska Bank. So we have an actual branch inside Wayne Elementary School. The students are tellers. They've received teller training. They go through training just like you would if you were hired at the bank. And then all the other students are welcome to come on deposit day and bring their savings.
It's just a great learning experience for our kids, K through 6, and great leadership for these kids right here, 5th and 6th grade.
It was exciting to see the tellers and see how excited they were.
I mean, the energy in here was ecstatic, it was great, and so it was very fun to see everybody being involved and everybody being excited.
The kids are crazy excited, and I can tell you working with State Nebraska Bank has been a rewarding experience. They are amazing. They are super excited about really doing this for the right reasons to get students savings.
I'm excited to be a teller because my uncle's a teller and I think it's kind of cool. I just want to let the younger kids know how important it is to save money.
Because I like to help people, because I have an opportunity to maybe later in my life get a job. I like helping kids save money. I get to help people save. I just think it's kind of cool.
The partnership between the Nebraska Council on Economic Education and the financial institution is about a 6-month to year-long planning process. So we want to get students excited. There's a student assembly. We're talking to all the teachers. We're providing curriculum if they want it on how to teach economics and personal finance in the elementary grades.
So what Wayne State College did was we partnered with the Nebraska Council of Economic Education and State Nebraska Bank and Wayne Elementary, and myself and a few of my students, economic students, came in and we spoke to every classroom here about financial literacy and the importance of saving.
I'm excited because I can learn how to save and help other people learn how to save money to get better opportunities in life.
I think this will help them long term down the road because just being in the classroom with some of them, even second graders were asking very future thinking questions about what they do with their money when they leave Wayne Elementary.
The Blue Devil branch is important for many reasons, mainly for making sure that we just get the kids in the habits of saving. So we're really trying to instill the fact of saving and after time what it turns into, and that at the end of the period that they have something they can really be proud of.
I'm saving money for a dog. A bunny. I'm saving a bunny for fish gas. I don't know.
We try to reach them when they're young. If we can reach them in elementary school and really get them established with a savings habit, we can change their financial futures.
And we're just very lucky to have a community and a staff and a community partner like State Nebraska Bank to support us here. So thank you very much.
So that just kind of showcases what we're working on in hopes of making it happen this fall.
Does Midwest Bank do this anywhere else?
Midwest Bank?
Yeah.
Our Midwest Bank?
Is that who you're gonna work with?
Yes, we're gonna work with Plainview's. I don't think so. This is actually a program through UNL.
Oh, it is?
That reached
Okay.
out to, they're just trying to expand the number of banks that do this program with schools in their communities.
Okay.
So I don't know the answer to your question, but.
I didn't know if it was specific to, you know, Wayne and Nebraska State Bank. and if that was
No,
something
this
they-
is actually a
this
statewide
is-
program.
This is UNL statewide program.
Mhm.
So is the money that they're putting actually going into a bank account?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's treated just like what we would do at the bank. And then whatever amount students deposit, when they graduate sixth grade, the bank cuts them a check for whatever they've deposited over that time frame.
So
And,
it's- how often do you have the class? Or
they meet once every Thursday, the bank is open. And they said that they average between 80 to 90 kids that make deposits.
It's great to teach them, kids at that age, that
Uh-huh.
type of thing.
So do you need teller boxes and that kind of thing?
That's all stuff that we've kind of talked about a little bit when we were traveling there and back. Most of the legwork is done by Midwest Bank. They just need our support with the students, the facility, and tellers to run the program each week. They would provide adult support as well as us.
Do they do anything like that for the, like, up until like 11th grade or something maybe, or to help some of the high school
High
kids that
schoolers?
would miss this?
Or let them just continue it on?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Yep, that's definitely worth exploring.
Instead of getting a check at sixth grade, we can get it when you graduate.
Yep.
Because then we also added in, this was 3 years ago, when we changed our graduation requirements.
To
That's
add
why we
personal.
added that personal finance piece in there too.
Yeah.
So they would get that towards the end of it as well.
Is that in junior high, when they take that?
Well, juniors, they take it.
Juniors.
So they take economics and personal finance as a requirement.
So none of this would run through the school finances that we would have to adjust our.
We'll keep it
budget.
far away from the auditor. This isn't being recorded, is it?
No, it's a
Yeah.
great deal.
Yeah.
But, thank you.
Yeah, did you have something else you wanted to add to the report?
That's the only other thing that I wanted to elaborate on.
We have testing this month.
Yes, we do.
All that fun stuff. Juniors got their ACT scores back too. They scored pretty well. We didn't average them or anything. We just got them right at the tail end of last week, so we're gonna dig into them more this week since we got them back, so. You'll hear kids talking about them.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. We'll move on to President's report for the 27th. We do have one thing I wanted to make you guys aware of. Dr. Altman, you help me out here on this one, explaining it correctly, but in the teacher negotiated agreement, we needed to make a small language change in here as to how teachers on the BA step 3 are gonna receive a bonus. I'll just let you explain that.
Well, as I was putting contracts together and identifying who this would apply to, because this is new language, this is the first year of this, and in fact, it only applies to year 2 of the negotiated agreement, of the 2-year agreement. So this is the first time that I was gonna be preparing this in the budget. And I just recognized that the language that we approved with the PPEA, there was a little bit of vagueness, since it wasn't specific enough to identify the intent of the board and the PPEA was to offer that $1,000 bonus in year 2 and 3 for those teachers frozen on step 3, which would be any teacher within their first 3 years of teaching here at Plainview, or if they were a first-year teacher somewhere else and then came here, they'd still be frozen until their 4th year. So that $1,000 bonus, if residing in the district, was intended for those teachers frozen on step 3. So I took it to Mr. Schumacher, and he and I, agreed, oh, there's a little vagueness here. It wasn't gonna necessarily put us in any type of fiscal peril by any means, but just didn't want it to be confusing and wanted it to, the language to be what the intent of the negotiations team and PPEA was last fall. So you see the stricken language and you see the new language just requires an initial by the board president. Mr. Schumacher will initial it, and then that's just a very minor adjustment to language in the negotiated agreement between the board and the PPEA. So that was in your folder.
So that'll be something we'll be working on here.
Yep.
Get changed. I don't have anything else myself, so move on to 28 superintendent's report.
Okay, we added a snow day since last year, so we're up to 8 with 3 late starts. Can't imagine we have any more snow days than that after a day like today and what we anticipate the next couple days. So we're probably done and probably good with regard to that. All teacher contracts and staff notifications are in, with the exception of the additional one that you approved tonight. Otherwise, everybody signed it in. Yeah, the alumni mailing was complete. That was a 3-pronged approach between the Plainview Brunswick Community Foundation, the Alumni Association, and the school district. So all expenses, postage expenses split three ways. So that alumni mailing went out. Need to ask you about the play structure. Of course, we anticipate that the new structure's coming in this summer. It's gonna replace the wooden pirate ship in the back. Whether you want that torch tossed, we've got some interest in it. And if you've got a policy with regard to selling of school district property, I had indicated, a month or so ago, they're accepting the sealed bids, which is but it's really a board decision on what you want to do with that. If accepting a sealed bid with a deadline is an appropriate way for it to go, then if somebody can use it, it's not unsafe to where we'd have any jeopardy, or if somebody wants it and they want to maybe make any modifications or such, it'd be great for it to get some more use somewhere. But according to your policy 90402, you have a few options with maybe what you want to do with that. Disposition of district property may occur by any method chosen by the board, such as auction, private or public sale, trade, or bid process, with care to provide financial accountability for the district's resources. So it's worth whatever somebody maybe wants to bid. I mean, I don't know that you need to have a whole bunch of conversation about, gosh, could we get 1,000 for it? Could we get 4,000 for it? Could it be worth 500? I don't know. It's been sitting back there for several decades. I suppose, Mrs. Jensen, you would know better than me.
Several decades,
Is it?
No.
So maybe it's only 20 years been back there. I don't know, but it probably arrived during your tenure.
Oh, yes, it was.
Okay, I didn't, sorry, I didn't mean to insult you.
You did not.
So are you okay with an advertisement and accepting a sealed bid? Give it 3 weeks. We'll reveal those at the May meeting.
Yeah.
Fine.
Put the money toward the new one.
And then they gotta take it. Yeah, it needs to go.
Absolutely.
Then maybe they'll remove it too.
Well, I think that would probably be
That's good.
part of the deal.
Yeah.
As is, and you gotta take it to go, and it's gotta be gone by a June 1 or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it one piece that we put in?
No, they probably disassemble it.
Well, I'm just saying,
Oh.
'cause some people want to bid on just one part.
It's one piece, I think,
Oh.
yeah.
All or nothing.
And I didn't know if it was several different.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, that had some things added to it over. So I'll have some language in the papers, some updated language, as per, your approval. ESSER hasn't changed since last month, and it won't change until we ask for some reimbursement at the end of summer. We talked about the amendment to the budget, which will happen in a hearing in May. Maybe next month there'll be some more unicameral updates. You're aware of the filibustering attempt that's going on. One little one making noise is a dress code, a statutory mandate on dress code for school districts. And some of the harshest language in there is, no school staff member shall cut a student's hair. Well, that's how things get turned into law, is something happens in some school district, and by gosh, the state legislator is gonna go make it a law that you can, because it happened. It might have been on a Native American reservation, so that it comes with just a little more cultural sensitivity or insensitivity. So that was one making a little bit of noise. It'd be another thing that they would hand down to us that would be, we don't have an issue, but we'd get a mandate from the unicameral on how we need to operate, rather than letting your local school district, school board maybe make those decisions. But next month, maybe there'll be some more movement with regard to the unicameral. The Pillen plan for education finance is still out there. It's still his priority, and he's got good senators, or influential senators, to probably get that across the finish line. That will change our budget, how we budget, and how schools are funded to a certain degree. Not as immense as throwing out TIOSA and really addressing so much the property tax reliance, but it's a step in that direction potentially. Our Hall of Fame committee made final decisions for the Plainview High School Hall of Fame. They will be inducted the first weekend in June, and those are from the class of 61, Jim Brunke, from the class of 74, the late Roger Waholtz, from the class of 85, Lori Stucraft, from the class of 2000, Kyle Lingenfeller, and from the class of 2001, James Pointer, along with the 1979 state championship, only state championship one-act team in Plainview's history. So that will be the team that will be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
You get a trophy for that?
They get a plaque.
No,
Oh, their trophy. Yes, that's a
state
secret.
championship trophy.
They didn't get a trophy when they won, because they technically tied, but they were state champions. And I don't know exactly the story on why Norfolk Catholic got the trophy, whether they flipped and Plainview chose not to buy one, and the NSAA wouldn't provide a second one. But we've got one for it.
That's what I was asking.
Yes.
I know you can go back and get them now.
Yeah,
right?
you can buy them.
Yeah.
You can buy them. There's your enrollment summary, one meeting out of district, vacation and sick balance are listed there, and that is all that I have.
Okay, well, we've come to the end of a long agenda, so thanks for your time tonight.
All right, all right.
We're adjourned.